Hey everybody, welcome to the I Am Podcast YouTube channel.
Make sure to tap the bell, subscribe, and comment down below. Hello everybody, welcome back.
Hey, how's it going?
We have Melissa Zimmerman, who I have known for a few years, and
she's now a surrogate.
Yeah, she's
here
a surrogate
with us. So, Melissa, could you introduce yourself?
What do you do for work, and what's your life like, Melissa?
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about you away from surrogacy.
So I'm a virtual assistant, so I run my own business, and I have about 10 clients that I manage with a team underneath me. So I get to work from home or from my trailer in the mountains or from my deck or wherever I feel like that day. Today I'm at home. I am married, live in central Alberta, and we have 2 teenage boys and a house full of animals. So things are busy here, but it's always an adventure.
So, okay, this is the coolest part about Melissa, I think. She just lives in the mountains all summer.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Typically, that's usually I go May to October. This year, with the baby coming, I will be coming back early, but usually we just live down in southern Alberta and work from my trailer and live the dream down there.
Oh,
so cool.
Just because I'm like a planner and have to be organized, like who watches your house? Like you literally just up and leave for all that time.
Yeah, I leave my husband behind. My husband has they have a 55-year family business here in Stettler, so he stays here, comes down on the long weekends. When school's out, my kids typically come down there, but during May and June and in September, the kids and my husband are here. Watching the house is maybe a stretch, but they're here making sure things don't burn down.
That's fair. That must be actually such good, like, down nice time for you. Like almost like a mental vacation.
Yeah, it's a good separation to fill my bucket. Obviously, I wouldn't have been able to do this when the kids were a lot younger, but now that the first couple of years, it was a little bit turbulent with younger kids, but now that they've gotten older, more responsible, it does really give me that break to fill my own bucket and do what I need to, and then come back and deal with the chaos in the fall.
Yeah.
Do you ever have to, like, emergency come home, or is it like you're down there, you're not coming back?
I wish. No, there's been the odd time that I've come home for a week or two because the end of school isn't going very well as far as homework catching up. This year I came home. I was home this week for medical appointments, but I actually came home last week because I was having some medical issues. Everything's good, but yeah, I mean, I have the freedom to pick up and come back if I need to, and not that I want to, but.
So do you think this is a routine and rhythm you'll keep for a long time, or is this just kind of a season for you?
So I did 5 years full time, and this is the 6th summer. I think we'll keep the spot down there. The next couple of years might look a little different as like my kids are in and going into high school. So as these last few years wrap up, it might look a little bit different, but I would, if I could, I would move down there full time, but my husband's business is not ideal down there. So this is that's my vacation, I guess.
So for the people that don't know, Melissa has been managing a campground down there. So she's not just on a holiday.
She's working on a holiday.
Last year was my last year doing that. I resigned as the manager and had big plans this year to spend all 5 months like just me and doing my thing. And then our transfer took and my plans changed. Yeah. So maybe next year will be the year of 5 months straight of me just lounging down there.
Let's hope.
Yeah, no kidding. Can I join you? That seems like a great plan.
Absolutely.
That sounds like a great plan.
Yeah.
So I know a little bit of the backstory, but how did you get to becoming a surrogate? How did that, I mean, I know Jara can take the credit for that, but beyond Jara, how did that go, with your family and your husband and all that kind of stuff?
So, before COVID, I connected with Anu to become an egg donor, and it never ended up working out to donate eggs. So I didn't get picked, but that's okay. In June of 2022, Jared messaged me out of the blue and was like, hey, like, have you ever considered being a surrogate? We have this couple that I think you would really connect well with. And I, like, years and years ago, I had thought of it. Of course, being connected with a new, I had seen it. It was kind of like buzzing in my brain, but not active. And I said, okay, like, let's consider this. My husband and I talked, it was, I think, a long weekend. We talked all weekend about this idea and what it would mean for our family, what it would mean with my medical history and like for the kids and everything. And then we boiled down to, we do have some friends that have had fertility issues in the past and they haven't gone the surrogate route, but we ended up saying if they ever had considered that and asked us, of course we would say yes without much hesitation. And so we came down to, these are just somebody else's friends that are asking for help from an anonymous person, or a stranger, I guess. And so we thought we'll take one step at a time. I'll review their profile. I'll review some other profiles. I'll see, if this feels right.
Didn't you look at like 10 or 20?
I looked at 10. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I looked at 10 profiles. It was really hard to kind of narrow down, but I ended up coming back to the original profile mainly because they grew up very similar to Kyle and I. They had a similar background, similar likes and dislikes, and it felt like a good fit. So we kind of just took it one step at a time. I said, okay, I'll ask Lorraine 753 questions, and then I'll meet with them, and it just organically grew from there to where we were matched in late August of 2022.
That's wild.
Well, and it took a little bit for you to get pregnant too. Like, we're pregnant now here in June of 2024, and you connected and you made things official in August of 2022. So tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, we had not, I guess, a typical journey to pregnancy, and a lot of that was maybe I was a bit naive about jumping into this. I had big thoughts and dreams that we'd come in, maybe first, second transfer, we'd be pregnant, and by this time next year we'd have the baby and everything would be fine, and we'd carry on. Unfortunately, that was not our story. We did 5 transfers total to get here, 7 embryos altogether, and that's just my portion of their story. So there's of course months in between transfers to recover and to prepare hormones and get cycles back on track. So it did take a while. November 7th, I think, 2023, it was our successful transfer day finally. So this entire, now we're 8 months in, I guess. This entire 33 weeks has been very nerve-wracking because every step feels surreal.
Yeah, like you made it. You have made it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it doesn't feel like it's. I mean, now obviously the baby is now coming, coming soon. So it's coming, but there were a lot of months of like where's the other shoe? And thankfully it hasn't dropped.
Perfect.
Well, you're living now that you're, where you're at, you're living what we really hope for everyone, like a fairly smooth sailing journey and, the anticipation that baby's coming soon. And I mean, you guys have been a team for so long now, like you're so close to that end goal.
You're not strangers anymore, that's for sure.
No, no, we've grown really close, and it has given us that time to build that relationship and go through a lot of scenarios that probably a lot of matched IPs and surrogates may not even go through, but it's built our relationship and made us stronger.
Yeah. Tell us your favorite thing about your intended parents.
I have lots of favorite things about them. They're very easygoing. They're huge Oilers fans, which is that's not like my jam. But my husband is a huge Oilers fan, so I've spent the last all the playoffs and all of the games. The baby watches the game with Kyle, and I have my headphones and my iPad, and I watch something else. But the baby is ready to join an Oilers household. So we have lots of favorite. I think they're very family oriented, and I really love that. Their family, their parents and siblings are all very involved and interested and want to know about the journey. So I think that's probably one of my favorite things.
Have you met who will be grandpa and grandma?
I've met the two grandmas. The grandmas, the intended mother and I went to a baby bump expo together, and it was really nice. We have the baby shower is planned for early July, so I'll meet everybody else then.
How are you feeling about that? Like, does that feel overwhelming? Are you super excited?
I'm an introverted person. I work from home alone. Yeah. I run away to the mountains alone. I'm an introverted person, so it's a little overwhelming, but I've been prepared for it the whole time, and I know that it's a really positive thing. It will be a fun and like exciting day. It's not scary. It's just it's a lot of people.
Your baseline just is that's not your jam, no matter what it is, whether it's a surrogacy or not. Like, that's just not.
Yeah, no, just like little bits of people at a time. But it's okay. I am prepared for it. It's a one day, and my intended mom has been so respectful of that and really like conscious of planning the events around like me meeting all of these strangers all at once. But I of course it's her big day. It's her shower, so I'm gonna go and we'll eat snacks, and the baby will get lots of belly rubs, and we'll be good.
Yeah, I've never heard of that's so cool, Melissa, that the surrogate gets to be at the baby shower. Like,
that's, I think that's cool. Really beautiful, and shows how amazing the journey can really be and what it can look like.
Yeah,
if that's what you want.
That you have intended parents that live close enough to you to do that with. Like
that, because that's not a luxury everybody gets.
Yeah. Most of our intended parents, I would say, are international, and so it's just not really a thing. Like
there's lots of neat things to do in baby showers after, but that doesn't necessarily include the surrogate, right?
And it's so cool that your intended parents get to come with you to appointments too.
Yeah, we've been really blessed that at least one, usually the intended mom, has been to almost every appointment, and then they both come to ultrasound. So it's been great. She comes down randomly too to just have hangout days. So it's been really nice to build that in-person relationship and not over Zoom.
Yeah.
How do your kiddos feel about this? Like,
yeah, I have teenage boys. They really don't really care. We consulted them ahead of time. Obviously, before we started, we explained all of the things that it would mean, specifically my hormones during the pregnancy, and they've been supportive, and they're very much like, whatever I want to do with my body is my choice, and they're here. I think my oldest, once the baby's here, will be interested to meet the baby. He loves babies, but I don't think my youngest could probably care less. He likes the parents. They've connected. That's fine, but they're like, yeah, that's mom's thing, whatever.
Right. Yeah. My mom's pregnant, it's not ours, whatever.
What do you think? What are you hoping for in your journey after birth in terms of your relationship and stuff?
Yeah, our intention is to maintain a friendship and a relationship, just as organically as it happens. Obviously, I'm aware that when you bring a newborn home, things go upside down, and so I expect a little bit of less communication. Like right now, we text on a daily basis, so I'm sure that will slow right down when they have a newborn to take care of. But our intention is to have an organic friendship after. And again, because we're so close, we're blessed that we can meet up. I'm planning to pump for them, so we'll be meeting up occasionally to exchange frozen milk and stuff. So
that's
hopefully everything continues. Yeah,
that's such a gift, Melissa. Like,
what's your goal for birth? Like, are you going to a birth center?
Are
you going to the hospital? Like? How's that? How are you hoping that goes for you? What are you envisioning?
So we hired a doula out of Red Deer that has been absolutely fantastic to support both, like obviously primarily me during labor, but also the intended parents, because my husband and I have been through 2 labors. They've never seen this. They don't know what's normal, what to expect. So we've got a doula to support all of us, which is fantastic. And our intention is that we'll labor at my home as long as possible. Parents will be there. That's our plan. And I'm lucky that I'm only 2.5 minutes away from the hospital. So we'll labor at home as long as possible, and then pop over to the hospital, pop out a baby. And
did you time that, Melissa?
No, I use Google Maps. Maybe it's 5 minutes. But we're very close. So I'm looking forward to that. Both of my boys were born in the Red Deer Hospital, so an hour away. And so we went really early with that fear of giving birth on the side of the road. So I'm looking forward to having a home labor, and I think it'll be nice to be in a comfortable space, especially with so many people. You have like there's the 4 of us and then the doula, and it'll just be more comfortable at home as long as we can.
Were you hoping, Melissa, for a home birth, and then you guys kind of decided?
So initially that was something that I had that we had discussed, I should say. It was something that I've been interested in. I didn't, when I had my boys, that wasn't a thing. Like it wasn't safe around here. We didn't have the support systems. But in order to have a midwife here, we would have had to travel to Red Deer to their birthing center. They don't come out to Stettler. So I wouldn't have been able to have a home birth regardless. So midwife in Red Deer, or the choice was either that or doctor, but labor at home as long as we can and stay in Stettler. So that's ultimately what we went with. The IPs just weren't comfortable with the midwife and home birthing, and that's totally fine. It wasn't a deal breaker for me, but it was just a conversation that we had early on.
Right. I think I wanted to give birth at home because I gave birth during COVID and nobody but my husband could be in the room. And that was heartbreaking for me that my mom couldn't be there. And I wanted to just give birth in a pool in my living room, but nobody else thought that was a good idea. So, and then it turned out that the epidural was mint, so I'm really glad I had it.
I think that it gets to be such a, I don't know, maybe a hot topic, maybe not quite to hot topic level, but it is hard when you've got like your wishes as a surrogate, what your partner is comfortable with, because I mean, I've had even friends in my own circle who their own household is split. She really wants to give birth at home. He really wants a hospital birth. Or there's so many important opinions at play in this matter, and making sure that you as a surrogate, you're top priority, but also there's so many other important opinions who if nothing else need to be heard and respected and understood where they're coming from, because I think some things it's common that we run into is such a holistic, natural-minded mama who really wants to go give birth down by the stream. And then you have intended parents who have hoped and prayed and been on this journey for 10 years who are like, we can't do that. Like, what if we need help? All of the big, bad, scary things that in a lot of ways they've faced for so long. And to just,
they've been in the medical system, like, especially a hetero couple, have been in the medical system for so long.
Yeah, like the idea of, even though, we trust our bodies, we know our bodies well, and, 200 years ago, most of us gave birth down by the stream. Yeah. But
I follow a girl on Instagram. I think it's so cool. I could never. I eat Kit Kats. Like, I'm not that in tune with my body, but she never even took like a pregnancy test. Like, she just knew she was pregnant. She's never seen a doctor for this pregnancy, and she's just gonna give birth at home. Like, I'm nosy. I want to know what's happening in there. Like, give me a Doppler, give me an ultrasound.
I want to see. I want to know, like, all of those.
Yeah. I, too, like, because I know that I have a genetic abnormality, I want to know that everything is okay.
Right. Well, and I think that, like, because we have access to this information, like, just because my great-great-grandma, had a baby down by the stream, like...
Well, my great-grandma had a baby in her bed at home, Mia, not by the stream.
Some do, though. But truly, like, I think because we have information, like, access to this information, it just makes us smarter and gives us peace of mind at the end of the day. Yeah. But not to run away with your topic, Melissa.
I do think it's so cool to have a home birth. Like,
Yeah.
I really would want to.
I understand that, and I also understand intended parents like worry and concern and wanting all the medical professionals and wanting a NICU to be right there.
If I could get an epidural at home,
Yeah, that might
perfect.
be that might be the way to do it. An epidural at home.
Sign me up.
But you
Eat
know
all
what?
my snacks and
Hospital water after birth is so different, though. Like, it's so
disgusting.
good. No, like, it was, that hospital ice water they bring you after, I don't know what they put in it, but it is unreal.
It's not that good.
It's so good.
Jesse's shaking her head over here. So, Melissa, what's been the hardest part? Like, aside from the failed transfers, which I know are devastating, what has been the other, I guess, hardest part about this journey?
Interestingly, it kind of plays on that same topic of all the different opinions. I do think that probably is the hardest to be able to navigate the conversations surrounding, not necessarily hot topics, but topics where you have very differing opinions of care and what's next. For example, I would love to go into labor naturally. I want to, however that is, whenever that is. My second child came 9 days overdue, so I'm quite comfortable doing that. Right. However, now that I'm an advanced maternal age at my young 38.
Why did I have to say that?
It's just rude.
And I've recently learned that my doctor has said that can bring additional risks. They're very, very small, but there are additional risks. And so then you have intended parents that, like you said, they have gone years. Well, ours have been well over a decade trying and investing money and time and effort and emotion to get to this place. In our scenario, this is the very last embryo. This was their very last shot, literal miracle baby. Yeah. And to kind of, in their mind, maybe gamble that on an induction or not, that's something hard for them to come to terms with. And so having those conversations in a respectful way that, like, I hear you, I understand, here's my perception or here's my perspective, and weighing the research and the risk and how big of a risk, all of those things. I think that's probably been the most difficult, having the hard conversations, because it's not something you're used to doing with people that you barely know. No, and we had to have these hard conversations right from the beginning, including conversations about the home birth. It was something that I wanted to bring up. I was nervous to bring up with them. This was probably in our first few months together, and maybe even less. This might have been pre-contract. And I was nervous to bring up to them because I sounded like a hippie that wanted to give birth in the woods, and because I kind of did. Yeah. But I was able to, respect that that's not what they wanted. And again, for me, it wasn't a deal breaker. And maybe for other surrogates, if home birth or certain things are a deal breaker, that would be something to bring up before you're even matched, so that you're kind of crossing those bridges. But that having uncomfortable conversations with people you barely know is a very challenging part of the journey. But the more conversations we have, the better it gets, and the stronger our relationship has been, and it's easier to talk about the tougher things now.
Right. Yeah.
Well, surrogacy is so beautiful, but it's also, like, straight up intrusive. You know, like, there are some things that, like, I don't normally talk to a stranger about what's going on in my pants. Like, there's some very real, like, trust on both sides, and just being so real and raw with someone. And especially with social media and the world we live in, like, I think we can hide behind a lot of things. We can kind of shove off a lot of emotion, and, a lot of people in their day-to-day interactions don't even have to dream of some of the conversations that you've had to have or might have to have. Like, I think... And that's really amazing that you and your husband have been willing to do that, and for your intended parents to be that vulnerable with you. And I think that really is such a part of what connects people through surrogacy is because, you know, those are conversations you may not have even had with, you know, your cousin or, like, people you're close with. They're conversations.
There are people that don't even talk to their husband that much.
Oh, for sure. Like, there are, and you know what? If that's the kind of relationship you have and you're comfortable, like, that's cool. But the level of intrusiveness that is required or has to on some level be dealt with in the journey is a really big deal.
Yeah.
Like,
so Melissa, would you do this again?
In theory, yes. If I was younger, yes, I would. And if my husband would support another journey, I would do it. I don't think in reality I will do another journey. Mainly the primary reason is by the time I would be like recovered and ready to match and do another transfer, I'll be over 40, and I don't really want to be pregnant over 40. So I'm ready to move on to my next chapter.
Yeah.
I do think too, some of the journey to get to this point was longer and more emotional than we had anticipated. Not that it was unexpected. It was just a lot, like disappointment and heartbreak over and over and over. And so it did become a lot on my mental health.
well, it's one thing to, like, think about it and to, like, mentally and, like, talk about it, but it's another thing to live it.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to talk about it as you're, you know, driving a soccer practice and, like, the what ifs, but it's another thing to actually live some of those what ifs and realities.
Well, I think a lot of people just don't understand or even comprehend how much you've actually been through, Melissa. Like,
Yeah.
yes, your intended parents, of course, it's been devastating for them too, but like, it's so hard, I think, not to feel kind of responsible or like guilty for something that's not your fault or anything that you did wrong, but
Or your intended parents' fault or anything that they did.
yeah, it's just, it sucks. Like,
Well, again, I think you go into surrogacy as a first-time surrogate thinking like, oh, like we'll do one transfer and I'll be pregnant and it's going to be great. Maybe 2. In your contract, generally you sign up for 3 transfers. So I kind of had in my head that was the magic number. Within 3, we're going to be pregnant.
right.
And then we had a couple chemical pregnancies in there, so we had that false hope of oh, it's positive at home, and then by blood work it wasn't.
Right.
And then we tried, 4th, like, okay, one more, we'll do 4th, and that was not the magic one. And they ended up having one more embryo left, one more shot. So we kind of just thought, we'll just close the chapter, try one more time, and this little one stuck. So that's great. But there was, like a lot of, well over a year of trying to be hopeful or starting hopeful, being taken down, getting your feet knocked out from under you, trying to be hopeful again and trying to be hopeful again and again. And then, of course, you have artificial hormones being stacked on top of that. So emotions are crazy. But I think as a first-time surrogate, that was the part that I was the most naive about was how, because I thought, these aren't my babies. That's not my embryos. Like, well, I don't, whatever. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you do have that same hope and plans for this mission that you set out on.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't work out, it is devastating. So that part was really tough. And then my husband as my partner and my support system had to go through a lot of that with me. So I think just together, it's if I was younger, it would be a bit of a battle to get him back on board. But I probably would, and I probably would do it again. But just being my advanced maternal age,
it's so funny that they have stressed that
Don't they
so
call
hard.
it a geriatric pregnancy? Like, that's so rude.
It really is.
If
But,
someone said that to me, I would slap them.
I think it's kind of crazy because, like, we have surrogates who are pushing 50. Like, and I mean, how neat is that? So how many years will it be between pregnancies for you? Like, how old's your youngest?
14. It's been 14 years since I last had a child.
That's wild.
That
is so wild.
I think that's so cool.
So cool.
Like, I know we've had some surrogates that, I think there's one that there was like a 30-year gap.
Yeah, because she was super young.
Because she was super young, and then she was kind of on the starting to push the older end of surrogacy. And I'm like, that is just wild. Can you imagine, like, in your deathbed being like, I was pregnant 30 years apart? Like, that's a whole person who's old enough to have kids.
Yeah.
Who's, like, old enough to rent a car.
How cool is it that women's bodies can do that.
Yeah. Like,
super neat.
I think that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that always just fascinates me.
Do you think, Melissa, that like going into your 5th transfer, everybody was expecting it not to work?
Absolutely. And I do think that plays a huge part, that as not true sometimes when people say, when you're not trying is when it happens.
Right.
I really do feel like I had big plans for the summer and plans for after transfer. I was going to eat this and drink that, and
Right.
all of these things are not right after transfer. I should say after the betas.
Right.
Because none of us expected it to work, but we just thought, well, we'll just try one more time, close the chapter, and then it works. So that's when I say this is a literal miracle, baby. Like literally last chance, and it's on its way.
I'm just so like, I mean, not only am I so happy for your, like, for you and like being successful and all of that, but like how cool, because probably your intended parents wouldn't have become parents. Like, that's where you guys were at, and that's just, that miracle never gets old to me. That, like, and also goes to show that, because I'm sure by rhythm and by way that the doctors work, the last embryo probably was the weakest. Like, the lowest graded embryo, because we use the best embryos first. That's just how we start. To give us the best shot of that first transfer success, we use the strongest, highest graded embryo. Yeah. So to be down to the very last one, and to have that one be the little fighter, gives me goosebumps, makes me so happy.
Mm-hmm. So Melissa, do you, now looking back, what has been the best part?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the best part has been once we got past 24 weeks, right. And my intended mom could start to get excited, right. Because again, all the way through, she's had all this disappointment, so that's her brain is trained her to be disappointed in all of these scenarios that she's gone through. I'm actually their second surrogate as well. Like, the first surrogate didn't have any success either, so she's been waiting, or just that trauma has trained her to expect the worst. So every ultrasound, every genetic test, everything has been holding our breath, and then there's been success. So once we got past that 24-week viability number, seeing her get excited and starting to buy baby stuff and sending me pictures of the nursery and clothes and stuff, that has been really emotional and really fantastic. So
that's so cool.
Well, you're making a mom. That is like the coolest thing ever. Yeah. Like, not only did you get to be a mom for yourself, but like you're making someone else a mom, and I just
Maria's crying already.
Yeah, basically. Like, I am not even I don't have Melissa's emotion, like hormones pumping through her, but like it's making me cry. Like, you're making a mom, and
a dad, and a grandma, and a grandpa,
and aunts and uncles, and that's all because of you, and I think that's so cool.
It is cool.
Yeah, it's a privilege.
Oh, it's badass.
Yeah, it's a badass privilege. Like, that is, I love it. I love it so much. Now that we're like all sort of emotional, did anyone ever...
Sort of emotional. She's just crying.
Was anyone ever hard on you for this journey? Like, did you really face anyone in your circle who was a negative Nancy about it?
Like, we live in a small town. People are kind of jerks.
Not to my face. I'm not the nicest person, so I don't think people would tell me to my face. There's obviously been confusion and people that don't understand that. We've had to educate a few things on. Some family members didn't really understand why we would put extra stress on our family, like when we originally agreed. But I'm really the type of person that I consulted my husband and my children, and that's what matters, and they were on board, so we kind of continued on. But nobody personally has ever said anything like truly negative. Maybe a few concerned people, but lots of interesting questions, and people that obviously don't understand surrogacy, and having to try to explain things to them is the biggest conversations we've had.
What's the most outrageous thing you've been asked? Like, what was someone like way out to lunch about?
I don't know about like outrageous. I did older family members assume this was our child, like my husband and mine, that we were giving to somebody. So just kind of having to clarify that. The most common thing I'm getting lately is, how long will I have the baby before they come and get it? Like what? How long is it my baby before it's theirs? And I keep saying, like, in our perfect scenario, like -0 minutes. Like, she's gonna catch the baby, like, then it's hers. So that's an interesting one, because I guess I don't really understand where it's coming from, but I guess people don't maybe understand that we are planning for them to be in the room when the baby's born.
Which will be so cool.
Oh,
and you have a photographer hired for that too, right?
Our doula is also a birth photographer, so she's going to be snapping away
awesome.
At the same time.
Yeah. I love that.
So cool. So cool.
Well, Melissa, we don't want to keep you too long.
I do have something really cool that I want people to know, that you and one of our other donors have become such good friends from the retreat. So
come to our retreats, people.
Actually, we have a group thread with, I think there's 5 or 6 of us in the group thread that we all met at the Alberta retreat in September, and we connect quite a bit. So there's myself and one other surrogate, and then the other girls are all egg donors, and so it's been really great. And one of the girls lives in Red Deer, so we're close. We had lunch 2 days ago for her birthday, and so I absolutely loved the retreat, and it was great to meet these women, and I don't think I've bonded that quickly with other women ever in my life. Like how quickly we became friends, and we communicate regularly. One of them and we send the Wordle back and forth every single day. So yeah, it's been great, and it's nice to have the other surrogate. She gave birth in February, so it's nice to have her to pick her brain and ask her all these questions. And the fact that we're all in Alberta is nice to be able to meet up if we want to and can. And
well, and like all kind of like-minded in like the surrogacy and donation aspect, but our provinces, I feel like, are kind of like all different, and so to be able to meet people from your area, big area, but is really cool too.
Well, and like, it's, if you want it to be, it's forever. Like, just because you meet at this time and this is what you're doing now, like...
Yeah, and even if you never do another surrogacy, these are still your people.
Yeah, like, you get that... Yeah. You get that forever if that's what you want.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Well, and I mean, we never would have connected if it wasn't... It literally never would have connected if it wasn't for the retreat. We have, like, 10 years almost between us in age, and maybe more, and some of the girls are quite a bit younger. Some of us are advanced age, and we have different like careers, different stages of life, different all these different things, and we never would have connected if it wasn't for the coming to the retreat, and which also was horrible for me when the first moment I showed up. Like, I was the very, very, very first person there by accident, which is torture for an introvert, and then sitting there, don't know anybody, don't know what to say, don't know who to talk to. But it very quickly warmed up and was a really great weekend.
That's so awesome. I love it.
Melissa, can we see your bump?
Yeah, show us the bump. Oh, that's so cute. Gosh, you're just the cutest little like pregnant lady.
Perfect round.
Yeah, the cutest little pregnant lady.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
I love it so. And you get to, like, it's dress season, so you're set.
Yeah.
I'm not a dress person. This is the first dress I've worn in probably 10 years, but it's like airflow. I'm hot. Everything's hot right now.
Well, like, is it a dress? Is it just a really big t-shirt? Who cares?
Yeah. We're covered. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Melissa, we'll let you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, thank you so much for chatting with us, and we're going to have you back after you have this baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a good one, Melissa.
Yeah.